Welcome to Soul Knowledge. I'm your host, Rocky K of Tune Into Wellness. We are souls having a human experience, and this podcast is where we remember that. Your soul has lived lifetimes. It has a history, a purpose, and a wisdom that goes deeper than anything your mind can analyze. My work through Reiki, hypnotherapy, past life regression, subconscious healing, and intuitive transformation is to help you not just learn about your soul, but to actually know it. Here I'll be sharing real stories from real sessions, lessons from the unseen, and truth telling about what healing really looks like. The messy, mystical, holy, human, sometimes hilarious, often uncomfortable, absolutely life-changing parts of it all. And I'll warn you now, if you don't like the honest language or the occasional well-placed F-bomb, this is not the podcast for you. Because sometimes the most spiritual thing you can say is, fuck this, I'm done repeating this pattern. So let's take a breath. Tune in. Let go of what you think you know. And let's drop into the wisdom your soul's been trying to give you all along. Welcome home. Welcome to Soul Knowledge. Hello and welcome back to the Soul Knowledge Podcast. This is Rocky, and today I have Haley Hanchey, a psych NP and spiritual hypnotherapist. Or do you call yourself a hypnotist or hypnotherapist? I should ask that.
Hypnotherapist.
Hypnotherapist. Okay. So some people, like I had actually Sarah Michelle recently, and she goes by hypnotist just because she's been in different areas besides Virginia. Kind of an interesting little thing for anybody listening. So hypnotists and hypnotherapists are interchangeable depending on where you live. So in Virginia, we are legally allowed to say hypnotherapist. So Haley, I am super excited to have you today on the show, like just to hear about your story. And I know we do things that are similar, but I know we all have our own versions and spins onto how we do things and how we show up for our people. And so I want people to see what you do because you might resonate more with some people that are in my audience versus me. So either way, I want you just to introduce yourself. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to hypnotherapy.
Yes. Well, I'm always a long story person, so let's preface with that. But
I love stories.
I am Haley Hanchey. I am a psych NP and spiritual hypnotherapist. I was a nurse for 6 years, a burn trauma ICU, neurosurgical ICU nurse. And then I went to grad school for my psych NP. And during school, I really just gravitated towards the therapy aspect. I still practice as a psych NP as well as my hypnotherapy business because I'm learning that I like to still do a mix of both. And what brings me joy, which I find super fascinating for hypnotherapy, I really dove into hypnotherapy because I was seeing a really big gap in care when it comes to the medical system. And personally, I was drawn to hypnotherapy. Honestly, I was pregnant and had this intuitive ping. And I started telling people, I'm going to do hypnotherapy. And I probably did that for about 6 months. And I said, okay, Haley, I've never done hypnotherapy in my life. Like, I actually need to do it myself and maybe take a class to see if I even like it. And so I did 2 or 3 group sessions, which I know are very different than a one-to-one. And I just fell in love with it. I was obsessed. I have done a lot of other therapy modalities, and this is just the one that really hit the spot for me and was what really just changed my life. I had a lot of awareness, and before starting this work, I would call me a type A girly. And so I had all this awareness, and I did talk therapy, and I had even more hyper awareness. But hypnotherapy was the bridge that actually made me aware to actually feeling different in my body, how I'm responding to stress or just daily in my day to day with myself and relationships with others. It's really about what felt different in my body and how I showed up for myself. And it was just amazing. So I was like, I want to help others feel this way because it is truly magical and a gift that I was able to experience and be able to help others see
Yeah, I
these
love that.
results.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of different healing modalities as well, and hypnotherapy was one I loved, and I did this the first time I did hypnotherapy was it was 15 years ago or more, and I just loved it, but at that time I was personal training, and so when I was shifting into the space to help people on that deeper level, I like looked to see what would like, well, what helped me the most, you know? And hypnotherapy, hands down, was superior to talk therapy, was superior to even Reiki, which I do Reiki, and Reiki was one of the top things that has helped me. But I mean, I'm sure you're going to agree, like, it's so easy to get to like the culprit of our issues in hypnosis because we have that ego quiet, like everything's quiet. And we're like, okay. And we're able just to like get right to the point and so quickly. And, we can get a lot of work done in a session, in one session, right?
Yeah. I mean, it just has blown my mind that I went through all of this schooling. And I'm like, how is this not in schooling? How is this not being talked about more? How is this
Right.
not being offered to patients and more often, or people being trained in this modality, even in the medical system or out, like
Right.
you said, the transformation a client can have in just one session. I prefer to work with them a few times, but I mean, it's mind blowing. And I literally have been left speechless watching so many people transform their lives just by being open to exploring themselves.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, I do say one session, but yes, obviously multiple sessions, you can really kind of like sort through so much more information, but a one-off is still better than none. And,
Yes.
I really think that hypnotherapy and Reiki and stuff like that. And I mean, I see Reiki's already making its way into hospital settings and mental health, especially for children. But I love that hypnotherapy. I really think it's going to start to really integrate into the traditional medical setting because it is so powerful. Like when I personal trained, there were so many people you would come in and you had this old injury and they still babied it. And I'm like, are you still hurt? And they're like, "Well, no." And I'm like, "Okay, then there's no reason." So it was like working through the head game, right? And I think more people can understand that, the biggest part of healing is that head game, and hypnotherapy can help with that. So,
Yeah, it
um,
can help bypass that. And I just also think it's so beautiful because it can help so many people. Like you said, athletes or people working out, it can help with that and the mindset things. But then also, like you said, I also work in different nursing homes in the area and provide
mhm.
provide therapy in there. So I do offer some hypnotherapy in that setting, which has been beautiful as well for hospice patients and really big life transitions.
I
And
love
so it
that.
goes to show. And then also I have worked with some kids too. And it blows my mind. I can't pick my absolute favorite patient because every person is so different, but I'm just blown away even by the kids of how much knowledge and wisdom they have that a lot of us don't even know.
Yeah. Yeah, I've worked with some teenagers and stuff too. Not too many, but um it can be just as effective as, working with an adult, and these kids that are coming out these days, I mean, there's so much more in tune with themselves, with the energy, with, just life in general. And, I really hope that any adult that's listening to this, like, start paying attention to the kids because they are here teaching us something really big and there's really big messages out there. And so I hope that, we don't brush them off as like, "Ugh, they're just a kid." No, stop and listen to them because they're really wise. Like, I mean, I don't
Yes.
know how your children are, but my girls, like, I mean, mine are adults now at this point, but even when they were little, I could tell that they were gonna teach me something really big in life, and they really have. I mean, they are my biggest teachers for sure, and they definitely keep me in check, I'll tell you what.
I'm feeling it now, and they're only 2 and 4, so I can only imagine what the universe has in store, but yes, they've been my biggest teachers as well, and a big reason why I got into this work. Being pregnant, I was in grad school with my first full-time and working and pregnant, and so I started having panic attacks, a lot of anxiety, stress, and so that I first turned to meditation. My husband was really big into meditation. And every time I would do it with him, I'd brush it off and be like, okay. Or I would fall asleep. So it's, I love to share that story because I started from ground zero of having a hard time naming my emotions. Because anytime someone would ask me that, I would tell them what a patient or client felt. Like, and I was
Mhm.
like, I'm empathic. That's a good thing, right? And then
It is.
also, yeah, but also being able to safely ground yourself and hold a container for you and a patient or client while not abandoning yourself and your
Abs
needs. And so
absolutely.
that was a really big thing, but I love to share that not being able to name your emotions or even meditate for 5 minutes. I had to start at 7 minutes and that was it.
Mhm.
And it
Yeah.
grew and it has been really expansive and beautiful. The results, even just from meditation, that helped me during pregnancy and after, and especially during motherhood.
Yeah. So you said you meditated with your husband?
Yes.
Is that what yeah, do you guys still meditate together? I'm curious.
He has gone in and out of it, but he was the one that was more into that and was doing it every day for a long time, for years. And I kind of brushed him off and was like, I don't know, I'm just tired. I need to sleep or I'd just fall asleep. I really just don't think I could sit with myself and my thoughts and ground myself. I never was taught to do that.
Sure. Yeah.
So we do sometimes, but now it's so beautiful. I don't know if you saw my Instagram post, but my little ones meditate with me. And my
I
4-year-old, she just turned 4, literally on
Mhm.
July 4th. She'll come up to me and be like, Mommy, can we do a breathing exercise?
Oh my
And
gosh.
she'll even lead me on a little guided meditation. And it's just the cutest thing. The other day in the car, we did one because she asked. So I was like, of course, we're going to do it in the car. So we're doing it. My husband's driving and my daughter goes, Mama, Aya is really getting into this breathing exercise. And I look over and she's snoring in the back seat.
My god. Oh god, that's so cute.
I
Oh my
know.
god.
And I was
Yeah.
just like, if this was the normal, like it's so beautiful to watch them and be able to understand themselves. Because, like you said, the teens that I have worked with, they are so open because I think that, kids, their intuitive sense is more activated and not closed off yet, and don't have
Yeah.
as much protectors as when we're learning when we're older. And it's just beautiful to see the insight that they have even at 4 years old.
Yeah,
It's magical.
I agree. I mean, I agree. And if you've ever looked at like some of like how the minds work and stuff, but when kids get up to about that like 18 to 22, they actually close things off for a little while. And so that's really not like if they're really open and that maybe your children are going to be different just because they've been like raised in all of this. But they like what I was reading is that they kind of close off, but then they come back open to those kinds of things because they're really, in that age, they're really trying to establish who they are as an adult. And you think about maybe when you were, 18, 19, 20, 21, like, I mean, we really were just trying to exercise who we are as an individual versus a member of a family, our family that we were raised in, right? So, either way, it's just kinda something interesting that I saw that I was just like, "That actually really makes sense." So they kinda close things off, and so my girls are in the age where they're closed off.
They're closed off. I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, since mine are still little, but I'm like, wow, how beautiful would this be if this was implemented in schools or
Mm.
just in the
Mhm.
home, starting at that young age, watching your parents do this work, you doing this work,
Yeah.
how much that can be obviously doing inner child healing and things. I'm like, wow, I wish I had this knowledge.
Yeah.
This would have helped me out a lot during these
Well,
stressful moments,
right, and I'm
and
thinking, like, listening to you say that you're doing this with your kids, like, you're in a completely different place than I was when my girls were that age. Like, I was in the point where I was, like, losing my shit. I mean, I was parenting by myself because my husband was deployed or gone, like, legitimately all the time. Um, but, like, I wasn't teaching them very, like, good grounding, calming things. It was probably, um I wanna say they were probably about 3 and 5, 4 and 6, somewhere in there is when I started to do the hypnotherapy, and started to come into the Reiki and all that stuff and started my, like, real healing journey at that time, and so they've really gotten to see me kind of go through a lot of, different things, through that, and thankfully, when they were that little, that's where I had found hypnotherapy, I had found Reiki, and I really started to kinda dip my toes a lot more into, like, the spiritual side of things because it wasn't long after that that if you haven't heard my story of having a stalker, it was right after that that I had the stalker, and I'm grateful that I had those things kind of in place before that all happened because I still didn't get to be this really cool, calm, grounded mother because I was, like, legitimately, like, in survival mode, like, feeling like I was trying to, like, save my own life and my children's life,
wait,
in
I
this.
did not hear about this, and now I'm like, I need to know. Also, 4 and 6 4
Yeah.
and 6 is still pretty young.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, they were young, it my whole story is actually on the podcast in earlier episodes. It's the part that it's a three-part series. Not long series, like, they're about, like, all about 20 minutes long, but, the first part is about my aunt who was, murdered by a guy that stalked her, and then, my part 2 is my part of the story of when I was stalked, and then part 3 is our story, and it's where I started to notice the synchronicities, and I ended up doing a generational healing after I realized the synchronicities. I don't wanna give it all away because I want you guys to go listen, but, it's really what kind of catapulted me into a lot of what I'm doing, and it really has expanded my beliefs in a lot of things, and it's also my understanding of a lot of things as well because, you know, um, I I don't like to have bad shit happen to me and then not have something really amazing come out of it. And so I like to use my story, and it took me a while to be brave enough to tell my story. I actually never told my mom that I was stalked until January. I told my story on my podcast like in February and March. So um I was afraid to tell my family because of what happened with my aunt. And so I never said anything. And so yeah. Um my
So
story
is
is,
this what kicked your spiritual side of things? Is that what you're getting at as well?
well, so the generational healing that I did was kind of mind blowing. And I'll briefly tell you about that. So when I did the generational healing in the session, the hypnosis session, I went back and they like had you like on this mountain, and you're ready to go and confront whatever this generational problem is or whatever. And you might have some spirit guides. And so I was just like, oh yeah. So like I see, a couple of my spirit animals. See my so it was my grandmother's sister who was killed. And so then I look over and there's my grandma and there's my aunt. And I'm like, oh, yeah, of course they're here. Like, yes, they should be here for this. I'm like, okay. Well, then I had turned around and there was like literally an army of people behind me. I mean, when I say there were thousands of souls behind me ready to go clear this generational curse, I'm not exaggerating. And, like, even in that moment, I stepped back and I was like, "What the fuck is going on here?" Because, like, what? And I was like, "I don't know what the hell I just got myself into, but here we are." And so, I went back and it was a curse, and I'll leave the details to the podcast, but there was a curse put on my family, and to me, I was like, like, "This shit's real?" You know? And that was kind of like, wow. And then the more I've done hypnosis and I've had people go into past lives and stuff like that, like people have gone back as, you know, mermaids, dragons, like different animals. I had somebody one time, a plant, and I was like, wait, what? And she's like, I am of the earth. And I just kind of giggled. I was like, you are of the earth? Oh, I don't know what that means. She's
I
like,
could literally talk about this all day long.
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's so
I've
cool, but
had
like mind blowing,
yeah.
right? You go ahead, tell
I
me
mean,
what you.
yeah, it's beautiful. I had a client go to a past life and she was a tree. And,
Yeah,
just even when people are hesitant or don't believe in this kind of stuff, I didn't at first either. And I think until you have your own personal experience is when you're like, okay, but but I also say you don't have to believe what I believe in. You don't have to believe in anything. As long
gosh,
as you're open and curious, whatever your subconscious needs first, it won't never bring it up until you're actually ready to receive it. So it's always important. People ask, well, how many sessions will it take? Which, like we said in the beginning, very few sessions and you feel the transformation. But really, that isn't even healing, isn't even up to us. It's the amount of honesty that you're bringing to yourself in your session on how deep the transformation will be. And it comes in layers. I've had personally
yeah,
and other clients go back to a memory or feeling or sensation, whatever that may be, whatever your sixth sense is. And it's a layer. So you see it from a perspective, heal that. And you're like, okay, I'm understanding this. And then you go back and you're like, why am I back here? But it's a completely different interpretation or a completely different lens or something that you're noticing that you weren't able to receive until you healed that other. It's really beautiful and mind-blowing. But even past lives, coming from being a psych and P I was like, I'm going to take this course. I don't know if I'll use that part, but I'm interested. So whatever. And then it happened to me. And then I was like, okay. And then having clients going to past lives, a tree or a famous person. But like I said, it can be interpreted as all symbolic. And if it's healing, who the heck cares if it's real or not? If it's healing for you, how beautiful is that?
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
all
I
that
mean,
matters to me.
I had somebody, they went back into a past life, and and she wasn't even there for a past life regression. It was just a regression to heal stuff in this current life. But she went into a past life, which it
Those
actually
are the
didn't.
best sessions.
Yeah, and it didn't surprise me at all, and I was just like, "Okay, like, look down at your feet, tell me what you're wearing." And she's, like, giving me she is in this gorgeous attire, and she is giving me so much detail because I love the detail, like, especially, like, when people gone back as the mermaids and dragons, I'm, like, grabbing my popcorn, I'm like, "Tell me all about this," like, I need all the details,
Yes.
I need the tea here, and so she gives me all this information about, who she is. I ask her her name. I ask her what year it is. She gives me so many details. And we explore all these things, and it is incredibly relevant to her current life. Like, incredibly, because I mean, as you know, when we go into past lives, it is teaching us lessons that we are here learning in this life too. And it can help resolve those issues that are in this life by, doing the past life one. So either way, when she's all done, she's just like, I don't believe that. And I was just like, okay. And I was just like, she's like, do you really think that happened? And I was like, okay, let's actually pretend it didn't happen. Like, let's pretend you just have an overactive imagination. I'm like, do you really think that you could have imagined all those details? And she's like, yeah, I could have. I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, because I would not have as much detail as she gave me, which she gave me a lot of detail. I wouldn't have been able to do that, but she did. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I was like, well, what about the lessons? And she's like, I'm like, do you think those were real? I'm like, because those really meant something. And she's like, yeah, that was real. I'm like, okay. So let's just pretend your mind showed you this like beautiful human with really cool outfit, very detailed, all jeweled up, just so that you would listen and you would get that lesson. And I was like, and that's maybe all it was doing. And I do want to say that I made her go and look that person up, and it was a real human. That person really existed in history, and she like messaged me and she's like, holy shit, she was a real person. And I was just like, okay, so do we think this was an overactive imagination, or do we think this was real? And she's like, this was real, wasn't it? And I'm like, I can't tell you if it was real or not. You're the one that has to feel that, because even the first time I did a past life regression, I was like, I don't know about this, and she's like, oh, go home and sit with it. And I did. And then I was like, there's no way I could have made that shit up. Like, no way I could have made that up. Like, I'm a pretty creative person, but I am not that creative, And yeah, so I think it, like you said earlier, like, it's hard to believe in something until you actually experience it. And, now, like, I'm like, yeah, I believe in everything. I believe in dragons. I believe in unicorns. I believe in parallel universes. Like, I believe, all of this, I believe in, because I've seen it happen, and there's way too many details. And when those people come out of sessions, they're like, holy smokes, like they feel it in their souls. And I'm like, okay, there it is. Cool. So,
Yeah, I've just experienced too many, personally, but also too many sessions where it goes into a past life or foreign energy to not believe in it anymore. And when I finally trusted myself enough to talk about it with people and stand in my truth, that's when I really saw the transformations in my clients.
Yeah. That's so cool.
And so seeing that big gap and care before I started doing spiritual hypnotherapy, it's just been mind blowing the amount
Yeah.
of things that can help people that I didn't even know existed until a few years ago.
So curious. I'm a transpersonal hypnotherapist. That's what I was originally trained as. So I bring in the spiritual elements, and I always tell people, I'm like, you bring in whatever your beliefs are. If you don't believe in anything, like I don't have to use them. Like it's kind of here or there for me. If somebody does, I'm like, if you believe in the holy meatball, by all means, let's bring the holy meatball in. I love a good meatball, right?
Yes.
I like to use, like, as you said earlier too, I'm not putting my spiritual beliefs on other people. Like, I want them to bring theirs because I think it can be a really powerful piece to the healing. I'm curious how you use the spiritual element in your sessions.
Yeah. So just like you do not have to be spiritual, or you can, and we can. Basically, I just saw the biggest change when I started being open and curious to all things that come to light during a session. Like I said, it can be symbolic if that's what it's finding the lesson in it. I personally don't put someone into a past life regression, but I let those arise spontaneously. And those sessions, like you said, the lessons in that become the most beautiful sessions of lessons and what you're learning. I had a pregnant client come in and we connected with baby, and it was so beautiful. And she ended up going into a past life, and it was showing her how in that past life she was highly stressed and not present, and how coming in and welcoming this new baby, how different she wanted things. And it was just beautiful. And she had a lot of fear and anxiety. She left that one session and said, I don't feel any ounce of anxiety in my body.
Ah, that's so cool. I love that. Like, I love that for that mom, just to be able to do that. Yeah. So I like my sessions, I riffed off of the spiritual, like their spiritual beliefs. So, after different areas, different parts, like I bring them to the spiritual team until like I like say the light that feels like calm, like let's move into this. And then I offer the spirit team an opportunity to give them a message about whatever it was that we just did, the work we did, the healing, whatever it is. And those messages are so cool and they're so powerful, when we use that spiritual element to it. And it always just adds just another layer of healing, and even confidence in whatever it is that the work we just did, and it gives them that feeling of not being alone, and I think that's where so many of us are searching for. We want something bigger. We want that connection, whether it's community, whether it's, everybody used to gather in churches and that was their connector, and everybody's veering away from organized religion, but we all still want that community and we want that connection and we want that spiritual element to it. We want to believe something is bigger than us, and having that opportunity to have those conversations in hypnosis is really cool too.
Yeah. I basically started this one personally, the personal transformation. I wanted other people to experience that. But the biggest thing was that I wanted to create community and for people to have that sense of community, whether that's in person or online. But just having that outlet, that I think we're going down the right path, but it's definitely still new to a lot of people.
Yeah. And you're starting a community, an online community, is that correct?
Yes, I have started doing some online marketing stuff, and really it's just my personal journey of breaking through being seen as I'm sure everyone has to work through with building a business. So really, it's my personal diary. I feel like I'm just trying to have fun with it and not make it stressful and flow, and whatever brings me joy in that moment, I'll post. And yeah, kind of just going from there.
All right. I love that. I love that. And all your contact information is going to be in the show notes so people can, connect with you and stuff and look into that. So I want to kind of just veer back a little bit to your story, of how you came into hypnotherapy. So, I get a little bit of your story ahead of time for the people listening. And so in information I was gathering, like you had mentioned that pregnancy and postpartum completely changed the direction of your life. And, I think there's a lot of women that don't realize how much, that we can lose ourselves during that season. And looking back now, who were you before that experience? Like, and who do you feel like emerged because of it?
Yeah. So originally, my husband and I have been together since high school. And my mother in law passed away of colon cancer at a very young age. She was in her 40s. And we were best friends, very close. And when she passed away, it was really, really difficult. I would work out with her all the time. She ate healthy. She did all the right things, had 3 beautiful, happy boys, a wonderful family, did everything right. And after her passing, it was really hard on the family, but me personally as well. Just realizing that you can do all the right things and these things still happen, and really trying to accept that, and realizing that you can do all the right things, but if you're stressed, it can do a lot of things and cause a lot of things as well, right? Our stress. And at that time, before I got into any type of therapy, not being able to name my emotions, I was just, I was a figure skater growing up. I played volleyball. I played soccer, trying to get good grades. I went to nursing school. I was working. I was just working at a high level of stress all the time and thought that was normal. Then I became an ICU nurse, and seeing those traumatic experiences all the time and what it was doing to my body and me not resting and resetting and grounding myself. And so that was a big start of my journey. Really, from those, I didn't know that I needed to ground myself. I was more feeling very disconnected and lost and didn't know what my purpose was. And then I got pregnant and was in grad school and had all that anxiety. And I just knew I had to do something different. And looking back at it now, it was very hard and challenging, but it is what pivoted my life into a whole different direction and purpose. So I am now thankful for that experience. Finally.
Yeah, so like you said that you were like kind of chasing your purpose too. And, I think so many people are trying to figure out like, why am I here? Like, what is my purpose? And so I'm curious, just because I feel like you're kind of on the other side of chasing the purpose. Like, what do you think the difference between chasing purpose and actually living in it is?
Really, it's way more simple than I overcomplicated it in my 20s. What a coincidence.
We always do that in our 20s. Yeah.
Yes. But really just sitting with ourselves and not running away and being honest, open, curious to whatever comes up, even the hard things, even the stressful things, even the very sad things, and just sitting with it and seeing what these different parts of yourself need and how you can nurture yourself even during times of crisis, even during times of stress, because that that's the purpose right there. Those simple things of when you're tuning into yourself and in your body, the purpose isn't to chase a career or anything. It's to chase what brings you joy, what brings you happiness, what fills you with love. Because when you're in that frequency of love and kindness and compassion to yourself and others, that's when everything unfolds right on time, right when you need it. And just trusting yourself that you don't need to know all the details. It's just finding that pleasure in every moment.
Do you think that there was any, like, specific moment where you just were like, "Okay, I don't have to force this anymore"?
So I think when I started meditating consistently and then did the hypnosis, the hypnotherapy, the one-to-one hypnotherapy is what made me feel different in my body and how I showed up for myself and in relationships. I honestly think that I'm really leaning into that over the past 6 months of doing consistent hypnotherapy the past year. And in this training that I did, we were constantly practicing on each other and receiving. So it was a lot of inner work itself. But I'm realizing that the more that we surrender or relax, it sounds so cliche, but the more that we surrender and relax and follow our passions and joy, the more that we abundantly receive, even when we have the plans are even bigger than we expect them to be. And so I'm really just leaning into that in this season and motherhood as well, which is really beautiful.
Yeah, I can tell you just because I am on the other end of motherhood is it goes by so, like, so fast, and, I mean, if I could just have, like, have a moment just to go back and get, like, the gross, soggy, wet kisses and, like, the little hugs and hear their tiny voices, oh my gosh, like, I wish, like, we had, like, the phones and I'm making myself sound really old right now, that had all the videos and all the tech, to take all the tons of pictures and videos all the time, like, I really didn't have that, like, we just started, like iPhones came out when gosh, I think my youngest was, like, 3 or 4, so, I mean, if I didn't have my actual camera on me, like,
Yeah.
so it's
It's always good to pull out the notebooks or the binders with all the photos though too and look through them.
and I honestly, I don't have a ton of those. A ton of photo albums. So I was tired when I had kids when they were little. Like, I wasn't doing a lot. My husband was never home when my girls were little, so it was like
Survival mode.
yeah, I was definitely in survival mode when my girls were little, but, like, social media really didn't start. Like, I mean, I think I got on Facebook maybe I mean, my daughter might have been, like, just under 2, my youngest, so when I first but I wasn't posting videos, right? Because that's not what we did then. They wanted to know, how was I feeling that day or what was I thinking? Like, it was like, if you look back at some of, like, the old school Facebook shit, it's, like, so stupid.
Sometimes I do wish that we could like go back though. I'm like, can we just go back to landlines?
Oh, 100%. Like, yes, except now that my kids are driving and around, I really like the 360 app. I'm really glad I didn't have it as a child, but I really like to know where my children are. So, there are some perks to it, but yeah. So, tell me, like, how do you feel like so, I talk about, like, how my past experiences obviously, all of our past experiences shape who we are. And then, I know you're doing a lot of the same stuff I am, and you're alchemizing that and creating something really beautiful out of that, and I know a lot of the work that you do is in surrendering and learning, like, I guess if somebody is, like, wondering about that surrender, and what it actually looks like in real life, because I really think people hear the word and imagine it's like just giving up. So in your line of work, you talk about surrender. What does that look like in what you do versus maybe what they really are thinking? Like, because it's not giving up, right?
No, I think surrendering is being open, honest, and curious with yourself to do the deep shadow work. And surrendering is really letting yourself or parts of yourselves be fully seen, whether they're angry, whether they're sad, whether they're full of rage. All ranges of the emotions are acceptable. And this work isn't about just staying calm all the time. Ask my husband. I have crash outs sometimes too, and that's okay. But it's how we can reduce those, how we can pause and take a breath before we respond instead of react, and how we treat ourselves with grace and patience and kindness. And when we do this inner work, even though like we said, it's beautiful when the teens do it as well, but it all starts with us. And when we do that work for ourselves, it ripples into every relationship, every conversation, every smile you give to someone that you don't even know. It ripples.
Agreed. Yeah. And do you feel like just all of what you have gone through, like, is kind of why you do what you do?
Yeah. I think everything that I have started, it was more for my personal experience. And through my personal experience is when I realized I would love to offer this to other people as well.
So, all right, imagine that there's a woman listening today who feels like disconnected from herself because she has been taking care of everyone else. And maybe she's exhausted. Maybe she's grieving. Maybe she doesn't recognize herself anymore. Or maybe she's a lot like you and she can't put the word or the name to it, right? What's something you wish someone had told you during that season?
I would just say to take a breath, to help yourself reset, and also ask for help. Listen and tune in to what you really need in those moments, even if it's simply to take a shower. Really just listening to what you need in those moments and also asking for help and being willing to join that group event, do a one-to-one. I was personally, when you were saying that, I was like, oh, this is me. I'm going back to a past version now. You know, I was scared. I almost didn't show up to my first group hypno event because I was scared and had no idea and wasn't sure if I was ready to access different layers of myself or vulnerable parts. And I did it anyway, and it literally changed my life and is the reason why I did it. So put your foot in the door and go do it.
Yeah, and it's sometimes it is just moving from that freeze mode, right? Because we're like, yeah, no, I ain't dealing with that, and then but taking actionable steps, doing something small, doing something little that's just showing up for you. Like you said, like taking the shower, like tune into your body and see what it needs. Sometimes it just wants you to sit down and relax and not multitask. I've tell you how many times I have had that come up, like doing an intuitive Reiki session on people. I'm like, I need you to like stop doing so many things at one time. Like, cause I could like, in my mind's eye, it kind of shows me like the eyes on the back of the head and stuff. And then I see them like doing stuff and there's like lots of screens up. That's like how it shows me in my head. And I'm like, oh, they're doing way too many things at one time and stuff. And so it's their bodies telling me do one thing.
Yes. And it also goes to show that when we're exhausted, when we're having a crash out, that is just a signal from our body to tune in. And that is not the problem. Our body is built to protect ourselves. And it's when we listen in and really cue in on what we need in those moments that will make all the difference. And that's why I love this conversational hypnosis that I offer, because yes, it's life-changing. I'm obsessed. I could talk about it all day, but it's also teaching you how to access this yourself. So then you're able, when you're in those hard moments, you don't always have to come to me or you all the time. You're learning to do it. It's repetitive. It's just like working out. It's like a muscle. Your intuition is just like a muscle.
And, I love that you say that you're helping they can do this stuff on their own, and I think that's really empowering, and not everybody does that with their clients. I love to do it too. I'm like, "Hey, do you remember that tool we used to, like, get rid of that guilt? You can do that anytime, you know, on your own. If it comes up and you feel it, like, let's do that. Like, you don't need me all the time." And giving our clients the power to do the work on themselves, because sometimes there's things that are really personal or they pop up out of nowhere. I think that happens too. Like, maybe you're not going to be able to get into me, but today here we are. We are like sitting, like swirling in our guilt or something right now, or shame, and you can't come see one of us, right? And then we're like, and it's so important to have those tools to be able to do the work yourself, and teach our clients how to do this, because they deserve to feel good and happy, and they don't always have to have us to do it, but I think you're a lot like me, and we like to teach our clients, you know, and help them, because we're looking out for their highest and bestest good, right?
Yes.
So before we start to wrap up and get off of this call, I want you to tell the audience, if like how they can get a hold of you, and if there's any like other details that you want to share about anything that you're doing or the work that you do coming up. I would love for them to like be able to get in touch with you and work with you.
Yes. So on Instagram and Facebook, my name is the Hypno NP. So you can find me on there. Also, my website is riseandalignhypnosis.com. You can email me or reach out if you want to have a conversation or you're curious about the work. I also have an email subscription that you can subscribe to. I only post on there when I feel aligned and called, so it's not constant. But I offer one-to-one sessions, a 3-month transformation if people are interested in doing a one-to-one session. But I'm also putting together, because like I said, I really want to create community for this space. And I will be putting a monthly donation-based group hypnotherapy event. It'll be virtual, probably once a month with the different themes. So I'm slowly putting that together now. So that is something to look forward to. And if you just want to put your foot in the door, like we were saying earlier, that would be a great place to do it. A group event is definitely very different than a one-to-one, but it can be very helpful in just accessing and your inner knowing and providing clarity and a deep reset, I would say.
I love that. And all your information is going to be in the show notes. So definitely please like go down into the show notes, go follow her on Instagram. I love the content that you put out. Like, I'm just like, wait, who is this girl? Like, that's how I came across you, is like your content came across. And I was just like, man, she is like nailing this stuff about hypnotherapy, like on the nose. So I really love your stuff. So if you are listening, please follow along. I mean, she has great content. You're obviously a good human, doing really great work. And I don't think that there could be too many of us. So even if you're listening and you're like, wow, I'd really love to learn hypnotherapy, like there's so many great programs. And I know I've worked with 2 different programs and did my trainings. I'm happy to offer suggestions if you're listening, and I know Haley could probably speak intelligently on who she has done her training through and everything. So Either way, Haley, I've really appreciated having you, but we have one final question that we always ask our guests. So one final question, Haley, before we get off. What is one moment in your life that you tuned in and felt like your life was guiding you?
I would say pregnancy intuition. I would not consider myself an intuitive person until my pregnancies. And that's when I was talking about hypnotherapy and really diving into meditation work. And that's really what pivoted my career, what pivoted my relationships to myself and others and the world. So pregnancy intuition is a real thing. And I just knew I didn't want to lose it after being done being pregnant. So this work really kickstarted all of that. And I'm really grateful.
Yeah, do you feel like it's gotten stronger too over the years now? Like your oldest is 4?
Yeah, I feel like we're always still learning and it's never ending, but it is a beautiful unraveling to watch.
Yeah, it really is. And I think, as we go, as we evolve, as we have more life experiences, like I think it even shifts how we interpret things too, and then we just start to get attuned to different frequencies and different energies. And I think it's such a cool journey. So, but I know I don't, have you been trained in Reiki before?
I have not.
Okay. Well, I know somebody that teaches it. No, but that actually is something that has really like kind of kicked open my door, and has really enhanced my intuitive abilities and how I understand a lot of things, and mostly about like the people and my clients, when they come in. And I didn't realize what I was doing until then. I was just like, oh shoot, okay, but the more I do Reiki, it spreads too. It expands my intuitive abilities, and now like I'm like literally everything's like some sort of energy and I'm understanding it.
I feel like this work is just all about diving in and developing a strong sense of self-trust. I think I've realized that no one has it all together. No one knows what they're doing all the time, but it's just showing up for yourself and knowing that no matter what, you're going to get through it and you're right on time.
Right on time. I love that. Yes, you are right on time. I love that. Absolutely. Well, Haley, I have enjoyed having you today here on the show. Thank you so much for sharing your story, sharing your knowledge. And like I said, her information's down in the show notes. And so until next time on the Soul Knowledge Podcast, this is Rocky and Haley. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in and for doing this work, not just for yourself, but for everyone connected to you. If this episode stirred something in you, trust that. Share it, leave a review, send it to someone whose soul needs it. Your voice and your ripple matter. And if you're ready to go deeper, to explore your past lives, heal your patterns, reconnect to your soul, or work with me one-on-one, head over to tuneintowellness.com or connect with me on Instagram. Until next time, trust what you feel, honor what you know, and remember, your soul already has the answers. Be bold, be light, be you. I'll see you next time on Soul Knowledge.